Good morning, everyone. We don't an emergency, but get ready and make procedures available. Let's say fire or the monster pot just outside there. Our restroom just walk rated. Just we have water and we have our waste bin, so we try to keep this place. So we now
the Dean of Science, Professor Godian Obuti, here present, Professor Ikechukwu Ababwa, to the first segment of our presentation today. How often do I joke about chemistry in my everyday life? I say periodically because chemistry rules the world, because they are full of innovation and impact to the global concerns. So I bring you Global Chemist Code of Ethics. My name is Ukeri Oluchonwichi. I talk a little bit about my background. I was a visiting faculty at the University of Nottingham, UK. I was a visiting faculty too at the University of Massachusetts, Ames, Massachusetts, United States. I was also a postdoc at the Institute of Agrophysics in Lublin, Poland. I'm an affiliate of African Academy of Science. I received the Commonwealth Fellowship in 2015, and I'm a winner of the UNESCO L'Oreal for Women in Science 2013, and I hold a PhD in biochemistry of this great university, published over 40 articles and book chapters. I frequently speak on science communication, environmental management, health, safety and environment, diversity challenges in the laboratory, sports, students and leadership, and of course, child protection issues. So to do justice to this topic, we'll look at the introduction, review code of conduct, and give a background to the Global Chemist Code of Ethics. Roles in agriculture, developing agriculture, and also as biochemists, we contribute immensely to health through understanding of DNA and genetic makeup of individuals. Agricultural landmass, estate design, chemistry has contributed a lot in building bridges across nations. But unfortunately, chemistry has been used for bad purposes. If we look at that image, we can see substance abuse as a result of chemistry. We can see explosion that we have in Paris, 2015. We had a substance that is made of acetone and hydrogen peroxide. That was the material used for the crisis at Paris in 2015, that every part of the world was sending messages across to see that there is rescue. There are people lying here, ISIS activities in Iraq. They made use of chlorine and in water as disinfectant. It had been used as an explosive West 11, September 11, so have used as explosive. So we are too polished because of the composition, the naphtha component of it. So when they set it to heat, subjecting to heat, it releases naphtha that can cause dizziness or feel good. So people are using that as product of chemistry. So that's why we worried about ethics. So how do we protect the environment and colleagues? This is the worry of chemistry. Human health and technological development are seriously connected, and activities of science and chemistry in particular have the potential to impact the environment as shown in the earlier slide, and then causing degradation and worsening problems in the wrong use. And health services depend on safe water and food supplies and sanitation. All of these chemicals have been able to respond to it, but we have to be sure that we understand how to use chemistry for building environment, building humans, and not to destroy the society. So it now calls for responsibilities. We have responsibility, legal and ethical. So when we talk about legal, ethical responsibility, we're talking about those standards that will guide our conduct. But when we're talking about the code of conduct, we're talking about those standards that will guide our action. They are usually more specific than ethics, that are broader, that guide behavior. So if we use pesticides or other dangerous chemicals in our work, it's important to ensure that we are protecting other people's health, our neighbors' health, protecting the environment, avoiding polluting water sources. I remember when I went to NTA with my team to talk about coverage, the zonal director asked me how is chemistry my problem. I looked at him on his desk. He had the remote control. I could see his shoes. I could see a lot of things. I identified chemistry around him. I saw his electric kettle and the water boiling for his tea. I saw all of those. His honey was there. I saw olive oil somewhere. I told him these are chemicals. So you practice chemistry, even knowingly or unknowingly. So he was so excited to be part of this program because he never knew he was a chemist without being the practitioner. Because if you look at the program, the material you have, you see that we have defined chemistry practitioners and chemistry professionals. While we say the practitioners are those who indirectly or directly come in contact with chemicals, while the professionals are those who have specialized training, either licensure, you have license like those of Science Lab Technology, or certification like today you'll be certified after this learning, or other form degrees that you went to study chemistry or biochemistry, or even pharmaceutical science or chemical engineering. So those are chemistry professionals. So we must know that we care for chemistry practitioners and chemistry professionals. So we are looking for ways to change processes to minimize our impact on the environment. So good survey conduct, analysis by organization for the prohibition of chemical weapons. This important body, the Organization for the Prohibition of Chemical Weapons, was formed in 1997 as a follow-up to the 1993 Convention in The Hague. And when we talk about The Hague, something comes to our mind. The Hague, a lot of people think The Hague is a building, but it's actually a city in Deutschland. So because it houses the important war crime court, so it makes it very, very prominent because a lot of people are running there for support to look at all of these issues that are international, global in nature, on how we can coexist peacefully. So the codes of conduct they came up with in 1997, again, they came together again in 2015 and gave some codes that are more thematic in nature, very, very robust. That's how we are going to turn it into chemical codes of ethics. So we need to know about these codes because they are important that we have standards. Any society that got no standard will run into disaster. So it's important that we have codes as chemists, as professionals, especially. Then we cascade to the practitioners. So do we need more codes? Because if you look at the world, we have codes scattered all over, codes that are not specific. Searching through the internet, we found about 142 codes of conduct and ethics relevant to chemistry. But they represent, these are only those that are published in English. And you see that these codes are scattered, working together as chemists. So of course, we have here is really a scattered codes and conducts, the ethics codes of ethics and codes of conduct, and then codes of ethics and conduct together. So those in green are the codes of ethics, those in red are the codes of conduct, and we have the ambers across the globe, but they are not together, their relationships are not very clearly defined. So we have to work with all of these people to convince them that they need to work with professionals for us to actualize our dream. So, perspective on the course. I have said that we have this cluster by purpose of organization and not by region or code. And engagement requires us to connect and own. That's why we came together as chemists. We need to own. If we make code that scatter like 142 codes, nobody owns it. Like we know African Adage says that the code owned by many people suffer of hunger. So we need to come together and own it so we can engage ourselves, discuss the issues that are rising, and then chart the way forward. Having responsibility to promote and achieve the sustainable development goals that UN is projecting and meeting the needs of the present, but we'll do it later. So we have to be aware of the multiple uses of chemicals, especially their use as chemical weapons or their precursors. So when we say dual use of chemicals, dual use of chemistry or chemicals, so we mean the good and the bad use. Okay. So we have to also promote peaceful applications of chemistry and work to prevent any misuse of chemicals, scientific knowledge, tools and technologies, and harmful unethical developments in research and innovation thereof. So how are we doing that get information relevant out to be able to make contributions to national laws and international law, regulation policies? We have to publish our findings. We have to use all forms of media that maybe that you pull out when we do some activities after this first segment. Also encouraging and maintaining a strong safety culture. We'll be doing safety in the second segment of today's workshop. We deal with safety. So I run through it on this platform. So accountability. We talk about chemical practitioners having responsibility and use elsewhere. We never can tell, so we really need to work on it to make sure we protect all of this, to be accountable. And we should be aware of laws and regulations governing manufacture and use of chemicals and act accordingly. And we should also try to report any misuse of chemicals that we find out, or the knowledge of chemistry, also equipment and facilities to relevant authorities. We have the QAPC in the university, so we can do that when we find that very important. Oversight function, supervising. With those who supervisors of laboratory, managers of laboratory, depending on your nomenclature, so we make sure that we have an additional responsibility carried out to ensure these chemicals, equipment and facilities are not used for personal uses or illegal uses, so we don't cause harm and destruction. So exchange of information is the ninth and the last element of the Hague Ethical Guidelines. So it says that the chemistry practitioner should promote exchange of science and technical information related to development and application of chemistry. And this is really, really very important. So here I put some picture where I was talking about chemistry to some high school students in Poland, and then mentoring, we have a supervisor and a student in the laboratory mentoring, active exchange of information. Here, exchange of information is important that we don't let the information die with us. We must exchange information, chemical information. So, Global Code of Ethics, this is the first edition of the people who drafted the papers you have in your hand, especially the one we call the GCCE. So, there we can see Professor Obuzo here. So she's one of the leaders as a Chemical Society Nigeria president. So she was there in attendance. So they reviewed all of the Hague's ethical guidelines that have reviewed with us and the background, and came together to formulate the Global Chemistry Code of Ethics that we are trying to adopt. So this was in Kuala Lumpur, like I have said, Malaysia last year, yeah. And then of all of these, we came together again. This is me here in Morocco. So we came together to look at what they have done. We reviewed this document again, pulled out some missing links, and also tried to make inputs from different countries and our peculiarities. So this is what we did in February in Morocco. So it's important to state that the workshop participation was truly global, although security is very challenging. That's why we really need to take it very seriously, chemical weapons. Because a lot of countries were not giving visas to the venues of these presentations. But in Morocco, a lot of countries, they tried all they could. ACS wrote a lot of letters to the embassies, they say no. Once they are associated with terrorism, they were not giving visas to attend. But luckily, we were given visas to attend from Nigeria. So we have 18 participants from the last edition in Morocco. We were only 18. Security was really challenging. A lot of people couldn't get visas. So that represented 7 countries. And these 7 countries, these are said here, blue is the first edition. So all the countries in blue are those who were in the first edition. And then the green, those who were in both first and second, and the amber color is for those who were only in the last edition. Egypt, Sudan, they were only in the last edition. So we can see that it's truly global. If all of these countries came to be part of drafting our ethics. So the workshop reviewed these codes, as I said. They had different small group discussions to make sure that they followed global ethics to come about this code that we are reviewing, that we are looking at today. So we have different, this is Dr. Abia from Jordan. So they try to review the first draft. They have small work groups, academia, industry, sport control, policymakers forming different groups and putting their own interest in the code. And then the final language was approved, and then discussion and reviews followed. So, the Global Code of Ethics for Chemists. Who is it for? So, like I had said in the opening speech, that technical practitioners and professionals are target. So the practitioners, like I said before, they include the scientists, the engineers, the technicians, the trade people, the business people, the man in the market, the woman in the house cooking a meal with different preservatives and flavorings, anyone else with contact with chemicals, either at work or at home. All of these people are practitioners. And the professionals, like I said before, those who have specialized education, certification, and licensures. They are authorized to practice chemistry and offer services to the public. So these are the group of people. We categorize them into 2, the practitioners and professionals, that this code of ethics are for. So we can see that everybody in this place really needs the GCCE. So the practitioners, what are we expecting from them? We're expecting from them to promote a positive perception and public understanding and appreciation of chemistry. So how do they do that? By taking from our research, and then we also part of the practitioner because we come in contact with the chemicals. So it's give and take. We have the research, we have the innovation. Innovation, what are we doing with innovation? We want something new, we want something useful. We want something implemented. We can't innovate without really making use of it. So we make it up. Sometimes it becomes a challenge in innovation. And then because we want to make it happen, sometimes we cut corners. We don't need to do that. There are challenges to innovation. So we want to focus on making something new or something useful and something that can be implemented. That means innovation, your products are in the market or they are being patronized by institutions or by the industries. So we need teamwork, we need collaboration, we need community outreach to talk about the code of ethics. And it also helps us to sell ourselves because any entity that has a code guiding it, and then they can sell themselves are people who play by the rules, who are internationally located, who can play, maintain high ethical standards. So chemistry professionals, the second group of people, we should act as role models. We shouldn't only make ourselves mysterious. Most times we cook in the laboratory, we call it cooking, mixing all of the chemicals. So we make it so mysterious that they don't like to see us. To governments, how many times do we do that? When an issue is on ground, the suits around, what are we saying about it? We should be able that we can feature in industrial, environmental, and other issues and be recognized. So we need to see that environment research, scientific writing and publishing, safety and security become our watchword. These are the 5. sections of Global Code of Ethics: the environment, research, scientific writing and publishing, safety and security. 5 elements. So from nine elements in the Hague's ethical guidelines, so the GCCE is 5. So it's easier to manage than managing 9. So you manage 5, you can remember, you can deal with it, and then we have made it closer home so we can own it and be able to engage. So we're interested in environment, in research, in scientific writing and publishing, and we're interested in safety and security. So how does environment come with chemistry? So we're protecting it for future generations, like we said, sustainability. So we're ensuring safety and health of workers and community. We are developing environmental plans and policies that will stand the test of time, of course. Responsible disposal of chemicals. We'll be doing a lot of that in the second segment, because that's really a problem to all of us. I've visited all of these people that are here. We have the industrial partners here. We have the ACM group of company, they deal with chemicals. We have NAFDAC here, a government agency. All of these, I've visited their laboratories, so I know what it looks like. And I've also visited those of chemical engineering, biochemistry and chemistry. So we'll be looking at some photographs when we go to the second part, dealing with all of those. So encouraging education also is important in environment. So to do our research, chemical science research should benefit humanity, emphasis on transparency and integrity, so that the reproducibility of the results can give us the credit that we need. We don't need to rush because we want to get promoted or want to get noticed. We mislead the society. So there should be transparency in collection of data or in experimental details and design. So we have integrity, important to us. Promoting exchange of scientific and technological information, like we showed in previous slide. Then publishing. We need to find the various avenues of publishing. It mustn't be a scientific journal. It mustn't be a magazine. It can be science festival. We can begin science festival they do abroad. We can go to schools, high school, nursery school. Publishing mustn't be in very formal form. So we can publish ourselves in different forms. It can be community town halls or different things. Let us take our science home. Promoting peaceful applications of science and sustainable development whenever possible by providing professional input, we have said, avoiding errors in the second segment, creating a culture of safety at our workplaces, and then making sure security is important to all of us, security of our chemicals, especially when working with dual-use chemicals and facilities. Acetone, the hydrogen peroxide, a lot of them actually can be converted, chloride, and specific space for all materials. So let's stay organized. Practice security drills regularly. Policymakers, we have industry and the export control. Those who are not here today, they need another matter. So how topic more relevant to your area?
We have the group discussion.
Sorry, can you introduce yourself first before you?
Yeah, my name is Igiri Grumet from Chemical Engineering Department of the Technology Laboratory. So, what do you think about GCCE from the course of the talk? We put our heads together and we're going to put down this, that GCCE is a global awareness program created to sensitize the global public on the importance of chemical ethics and the need to keep them also. And the next one, how can you make this topic more relevant to your area? From what we also gathered is that it should be designed to specifically meet the needs of chemists, both in the lab and outside, as well as the general public. Of course, that's basically what the workshop has been dealing with. And what factors may hinder or accelerate widespread adoption of the GCCE in your institution? Okay, these are the hindrances we came up with. Political factor, security factor, religious factor, and illiteracy. More or less, we looked at it from an open end because these things are, we're told we have the chemical practitioners and the chemical professionals. So we try to list them based on the things that will hinder the achievement of the adoption of these items in our institution as well as the general public. Then identify 3 ways to overcome hindrances or encourage accelerators to achieve widespread adoption. More publicity and media awareness. This workshop was created, the media was invited so that it won't end here. People that need to hear about it will also, and I think the organizers, they are taking the right step in the right direction. Then sensitization from grassroots level. Since we have been told that every one of us, one way or the other, we are chemical practitioners, so no one is exempted. The market woman that uses some of these chemicals, you see them making soaps, making liquid soaps and all that. The way they keep those things in their home, you have to sensitize them. They want to, now what is common is making all these little cottage industry chemicals and all that. They have to know how to properly store them so it cuts across everyone. And also getting religious leaders involved to sensitize their people. It stretches beyond that because sometimes there are policies if you want it to actually thrive. It's important the leadership of organizations that controls people that are involved. It makes it easier to be imbibed. I know some churches, they organize this learning of how to make soap and all that for their members. I think from that angle, they should be able to influence and let them know that there's also the safety side to it. Also, government can also come in. I think we have that on our second cardboard. Policymakers in government making favorable policies that can help facilitate this. Now, from what was said that there was a meeting held in February 2017, if the body come together and they are able to achieve something, come up, but the individual persons will definitely come back to their country. So if the government of the country does not, accept what has been laid out and then see how policies can be made to tailor, or maybe with the Ministry of Environment and all that, it will not go far. And finally, what topics were not discussed that should be included? We looked at the importance of, dwelling more on the supply chain management of chemicals, because if everybody can go about bringing chemicals from anywhere and do all sort of things, there is more danger that can occur in the handling of chemicals. Thank you.
In terms of regulatory framework and protection of the environment in its totality, I think more people will come to the realization of the fact that we need to protect ourselves, our environment, on how we use and handle chemicals generally. We'll come to the understanding on the use of most of these chemicals, in which most of us are not really educated in terms of their handling. For instance, their boiling point, every information you need to know concerning chemicals as a whole. How can you make this topic more relevant to your area, more especially in this environment, which is the education environment, the academia? We are standard bearers to the society. Whatever we say, whatever information we give out is of standard. It is taken to a different level. So this GCCE is very important for all chemistry practitioners.
That you talked about the environment quite all right. I'm thinking that we should put more interest on disposal of waste. Not to talk about the waste from kitchens or that, but if you look at Eco, for instance, our bad cars, our bad washing machines, our bad those machines that use chemicals. How do we dispose them? We should look at that area very well. If you look at the artisans, take the welders, everybody's unemployment is causing a lot of problem. Everybody's wanting to weld the street, and there are fumes coming out. The carbide they use and all that. That area should address. Thank you very much. I think I want to leave that. Thank you.
So, like we say that the 5 sections are 5 sections, thematic sections. So in them we have the specifics in the GCCE. Thank you very much. That's a very valid point. And the pullouts from the group discussions we had, I didn't hear funding as a challenge, but I think we have funding in this developing world. Funding, we are underfunded in chemical science and engineering. So we need to also talk about funding, making sure that we have money to get all of this working. For us to gather, we need money to gather. For us to ensure security, all of the items you listed were beautiful ones. We really need funding, and we need information, cascade of information, and many of you captured it in your presentations. So we thank you there. So we are going to wrap up this session very quickly. What we see